We're here today with Christine Feehan, New York Times bestselling author of Paranormal Romance. And Christine, you've got a new book called Waterbound, and start of a new series?
Yes, I'm very excited about it. It's actually a spin-off from the Drake sisters. It's set in the same town, Feehan, which is a small town on the Northern California coast. And I really love the town because it has that small town feel with all the residents. And I loved them and wanted to continue working with them. And this particular book has there's 6 sisters who've come together through grief counseling, and they decided that they would be stronger together as a family. So they basically made their own family. They bought a farm, and they each have a house on this farm, and they pool their resources. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun series.
Now there is a paranormal aspect in it. What will that be?
Each of the sisters is tied to an element: water, earth, spirit, air, fire. So they have an affinity for those elements. So, you know, of course I have to write something paranormal. I can't just be normal.
No, that's what we want from you.
My heroine's autistic. We have autism in the family, and I have done a lot of research on it and read tons and tons of books, and I've always wanted to do a book with a heroine who is autistic. I've used Asperger's with some of my heroes before, just touched them with it. But this girl is autistic, and she has sensory dysfunction, acute sensory dysfunction. So it was very interesting to write a book with an autistic heroine.
Oh yeah, that sounds very intriguing. Yeah, you notice some authors using other elements and health situations in some of the books, and
I think it's more real life. You want, especially if you're doing paranormal, you want to do something that is going to make people believe it. Mm-hmm. And the more that they experience in their own lives that take place in a paranormal book, the more the book becomes believable to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, before we move on with some fun questions, not that these aren't fun, but you have Dark Peril coming out. And of course, our Carpathians, we love and adore them. Why do you think us readers, love and adore these Carpathian men so much? What about those heroes keeps us coming back for more?
You know, I think that it's all about appreciating women. Mm-hmm. And they do. They don't have women, and they want them, and they don't have children. Women essentially are caregivers. We love family, we love our children, and we want a man who really appreciates us and appreciates the children, and believe me, Carpathians do.
Yes, that's what it is, definitely. So where do you get the ideas that you have to write these books? I mean, where does it originate?
Everybody always asks me that question, and you know, I have so many stories in my head. If I had more time, there'd be a lot more books.
Wow.
I never am without not one, but multiple stories in my head. I have to kind of push them down in order to write the one I'm working on.
Oh, okay. Now, are you an outliner? Do you kind of outline your stories, or the muses, the characters are talking to you?
Once the characters get strong enough, then the story the characters take over, and I have to write their story. I kind of hear them and sort of get to know them, and then all of a sudden there's the book. And if I try to take the book in a direction because I have something in my head and it's like a really cool scene I want to write, the hero or heroine goes in a different direction. I never get to write the cool scene.
You know, I find that so amazing. Someone like me who barely can put together an email, I just appreciate you know, an author's writing skills and how they approach their craft, and you do such a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Do you work with a writing group? I know some writers work with other writers.
No,
or do you really develop everything?
I pretty much do it all on my own. My son actually works a lot with me, Brian.
Yeah.
He's my action man.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I have primary sources, you know, special forces when I'm doing the Ghost Walkers.
Yes.
And we talk all the time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I don't do a very good job and get it wrong, and they give me the, yeah. I didn't use the F word. And apparently they were a little annoyed with me, and they said, "Ma'am, we don't say golly gee, the bullets are flying," which I never put in a book, by the way. So I sort of change it up a little bit for my soldiers.
Yeah, okay. So he kind of gives you some of the stronger terminology that to use as guy talk.
Well, I have a lot of male readers, and they certainly
Wow.
like to write to me and tell me how they would say something.
Yeah. I have to ask you, you read romance as well,
All the
right?
time.
Yeah. And who are some of your favorite authors?
And she hates, I know she'll get so mad at me for saying this, she hates to be called a comfort read, but Jane Ann Krentz is one of my favorites
yeah.
because every time I'm depressed, if I read her,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I recently came across Gail Carringer, I believe is her name. She writes steampunk.
Oh, yeah.
Loved her books. They were great. Nilini,
Yeah.
she's fabulous.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, and of course, J.D. Robb. You can't not read J.D.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. So what one characteristic should every romance hero have in your mind? One characteristic.
he should be absolutely loyal.
Oh, I love that. Very good, very good. So here's a question that I wanted to ask you. I know you have a very large family, but I wanted to know if you're a cat or a dog person.
I have, I'm so embarrassed to say this. I have 5 Maltese.
Oh,
5.
all right.
And they sit on me, all 5 of them, when I
Yeah,
write.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I have a special chair so they can all sit
can
on.
all sit-
And
oh.
yes, and they do. I write, 8 to 16 hours a day, and those dogs are right there.
Oh, how funny.
They follow me everywhere. I look like I have I'm the Pied Piper. It's so embarrassing.
Now, can you tell them apart?
Oh, of course.
What are their names?
Mr. Sinister.
Oh.
He's like all of 5 pounds.
Oh,
Little Boy, who's the biggest one, and he's like 8 pounds. And then Jesse, he's 6 pounds. And Einstein, who is not very bright. His little brain cell just sort of regenerates every now and then. That's why we called him Einstein. And then my new one is Finnegan.
oh, wonderful. Well, Christine, I'm so happy that we got a hold of you today and had
It's
a
always wonderful
little
to see
chat.
you.
And thanks so much for all your wonderful stories.
Thank
Readers
you.
love you and adore you, and we do too.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I appreciate that.